A lot of folks are starting to wake up. A lot of folks are starting to say, you know what? I just can't do it anymore. I am a conservative. I am a Republican. I cannot fathom voting for a Democrat because they supposedly don't believe in the things I believe in, even though the policies that Democrats support, I'm talking about progressive Democrats now, is what 60 to 80% of the country say that they want. But somehow in the media, the mainstream media, they'll have you believe that progressives are the ones that are out of the mainstream. But you know what? Things are so bad right now based on the potential, the possibility of having a Donald Trump, that when you see David French changes his tune, it means something. It means something. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I hear people talking about, oh, you're not a conservative. It's laughable because what we're seeing now, we're seeing idol worship for not just, I would say a guy. It's a party now. It's a party. They're not conservative. They're not fiscally conservative. If they lose again this year, is that okay? Here we go. If the question I was going to ask is, if they lose this year, is there a chance that they are going to go back to more tried and true Burkean, Reagan-esque conservative principles? By the way, what you're looking at now, direct from Joe's Twitter account, little chart I made this morning after reading the op-ed. In blue, that is left-wing, socialist, communist, whatever you want to call him, Bill Ayers loving, Reverend Wright loving, left-wing, like Marxist Barack Obama's deficit record. By the way, it goes down. It goes straight down. So all those things Republicans said about him, obviously not true. Now, if you look right after Barack Obama left office, by the way, 4 years pre-COVID, look at deficits under Donald Trump. David, they go straight up. That's not conservative.
One of the things that's happening is you have MAGA has seized control of the Republican Party, intentionally transforming it radically, not just, of course, on a policy basis, but on a character basis, calling the old Republican Party the dead consensus. And if you object to it, they say, well, what happened to you? In other words, they're pulling the party away and accusing anyone who objects to it of being a traitor.
So, David.
Yeah, Willie, look at that.
Yeah, there it is. It's pretty clear, stark in that graphic there. You've got a new piece out for the New York Times, David, titled "To Save Conservatism from Itself, I Am Voting for Harris." In it, David writes this: while there are voters who are experiencing a degree of Trump nostalgia, remembering American life pre-COVID as a time of full employment and low inflation, there is a different and darker story to tell about Trump's first term. Our social fabric frayed. It's not just that abortions increased, the murder rates skyrocketed, drug overdose deaths hit new highs, marriage rates fell, and birth rates continued their long decline. Americans ended his term more divided than when it began. I'm often asked by Trump voters, David writes, if I'm still conservative, and I respond that I can't vote for Trump precisely because I am conservative. The only real hope for restoring a conservatism that values integrity, demonstrates real compassion, and defends our foundational constitutional principles isn't to try to make the best of Trump, a man who values only himself. If he wins again, it will validate his cruelty and his ideological transformation of the Republican Party. If Harris wins, the West will still stand against Vladimir Putin, and conservative Americans will have a chance to build something decent from the ruins of a party that was once a force for genuine good in American life. David, let you expand a little bit on that. This is something Joe talks about all the time. I'm still conservative. You guys were just talking about this standing right here. It's the party, the Trumpists, that have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just that the party's changed, but things have changed. So in 2016 and 2020, I voted third party. I wrote in. I could not vote for the Democrat. I definitely was not going to vote for Donald Trump. But there are some things that have changed since 2020. One of them was January 6th, which illustrated the links that Donald Trump would go, the destructive links to our own constitutional order that Donald Trump would go. And then the next year, when Russia invades Ukraine, you see the incredible stakes for the international order, for American national security. And on both of those just paramount issues, Trump is not just on the wrong side in many ways, especially here domestically, he's the instigator of the crisis itself. And so if you're dealing with changed events, I feel like it's incumbent on me to be open to changing my mind on at least one element of my stand. And that is, in this case, to vote for the party that at the very least is going to stand against Russian aggression. And Joe, saying that out loud, that I'm voting against a Republican to make sure that the United States resists Russian aggression is, again, one of those moments where you can't believe how much things have changed.
As David lays out in the piece, the Republican Party now unrecognizable from what it was just a few decades ago in terms of both foreign policy and some matters here at home. But Willie, the great question, the unanswerable question is, what happens next? Even if Donald Trump were to be defeated this fall, does that mean Trumpism? Does that mean the MAGA movement goes away? There are certainly some of the Republican Party who say, yes, we'll be finally rid of him. Let's move on. We'll rebirth this party into something new for 2028. I don't know there's a guarantee of that. He is still going to be the loudest voice in the party, most likely. Certainly his running mate is set up to be a loud voice in his party going forward. The MAGA movement has captured so many state, local officials, state houses, Congress, the House of Republicans, House of Representatives in particular. I don't know that even if Trump were to be defeated in November, that this would be something the party would be able to rid itself of this movement. This is the party right now, the MAGA movement. And it might look a little different. It might have a different name atop of it in 2028. But I don't know that we could just take as faith that it'll go back to what it was.
Yeah, with tens of millions of their supporters as well on board. As long as we're inside the editorial pages, the Wall Street Journal, Jerry Baker writing this morning, Trump is looking like a loser again, talking about the press conference last week that he calls false, obtuse, and lunatic.
False, obtuse, and lunatic. That is a perfect description of who Donald Trump is. And to think that there are some who, knowing this, I don't care how delusional or cultish you are, you cannot see this man and not understand that that he has no place being president of the United States. His past ill-conceived doings is enough to disqualify him, and that there are people knowing these particular defects. There are people with children who tell their children they must do right. Tell their children they must be moral. Tell their children they must treat women with respect. Tell their daughters that they must cherish who they are. They must have pride in themselves. They must allow nobody to take advantage of them. Tell the American people that, yes, we believe in honesty. Yes, we believe in freedom. Yes, we believe in all these things. And to think there are some who will still vote for this man. Remember what I said yesterday. If that were to happen, the decay in America would be virtually complete. And it would be, not physically, but it would be the end of who America is. And I tell you why. Because the first time Trump got elected, we looked like the fools. The rest of the world, I know most Americans are centralized on America only. The only thing that matters is what we're saying in America. This 5% of the world is the only thing that matters to most Americans. But there's a bigger world where there are 95% of the people on the outside. 95% to 97% of the rest of the world lives outside of America. Many of us don't give a damn what they believe. They are willing to forgive us for having given the world Trump the first time as an excuse for the turmoil, for the things that were happening in America. You do it again, we lose the world. I repeat, you do it again, we lose the world. Luckily, I think the table has turned. And just like I said many months ago, I am still expecting a landslide from municipal to state to federal. And I see the materialization of that landslide in the making. Only one thing can stop it, and that is something Democrats know how to do very well. And that is to screw up a train. That is to put logs in front of the train. That is to make sure that for the fear that some of the corporatist Democrats may get, that, oh my God, the progressive mantra is moving. And if they put a barrier in front of what we need to do for this landslide, it's on them as well.
spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.